Today I'm going to be taking you through the top 5 Procreate watercolor brushes. I'm going to be taking you through brushes by Max, Nathan, Lisa, George Vaughan and Calvin, and having a look at how these different brushes work. In the years that I've used Procreate, I find that these Procreate brushes are the ones I keep going back to. With this tutorial or review, I'm going to be giving you a top 5 Procreate brushes, a Procreate file with a sketch and swatches. So in case you do own any of these brushes, you are free to download these and use this in terms of practicing or drawing. So I'm going to be using this. You're welcome to download it. It's in Gumroad. It's free. Just click on the link below and it'll take you to the Gumroad page, and you can put 0 and download it and use it along. You will get an A4 size Procreate canvas with a sketch and swatches. So you're welcome to use this. And so let's get started. So first I'll take you through Nathan Brown's watercolor brushes. His brushes are very close to what real watercolor would be, although he has a lot of splashes and drips that are in his collection. But here I'm using his watercolor detailer liner and the perfect brush. But he's got a lot of like his loaded flat, his distressed flat, and all are really good. But what I would say with Nathan Brown is that his washes and splatters and all like the fancy things you can do with watercolor on Procreate is what you can do with his. So when you want to do something fancy, when you want to do something really abstract, his watercolor brushes are really the best to use. The texture is very nice. You don't actually need to use this, although I'm using this on textured paper, but you don't need to use his watercolor paints on textured paper. But if you do, it just looks very nice and saturated. With Max, you don't really need to use a paper to use his watercolor. His brushes are very saturated and they look like they've been created in the multiply blend mode. So when you draw with them, you draw with them with texture. So I really like that about this brush set, because you don't need a paper texture to get that watercolor effect. Again, like Nathan, Max's watercolor brushes are extremely close to the feeling of real watercolors. There's a great buildable layering that you can do. It looks a lot more real, and but more important than his brushes. I like his brushes, but I like his smudging brushes. Those are fantastic because it really means that you can get a look that's very close to watercolor. You actually don't need too much line work for Max's brushes. You can even be very abstract with your line work, because the brushes really are they hold on to your artwork very well, and they have a slight border, so it stands out very beautifully. Now looking at Lisa Glanz's watercolor brush set, it's the AQUA Real brush set. I was very surprised when I used this brush set in this sitting, because I liked how I wasn't really shading, but it creates a very nice shading look when you use her colors. Her colors pop out a lot more when they're a little darker and more saturated. Lighter colors are okay, but her colors are buildable, so I like that as well. It's very glassy. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. The tone is extremely glassy, but I feel the texture paper enhances her watercolor brushes. I did not find her smudging brushes very great, but generally her paint tones are very, very nice if you use them properly. And I think that is another thing that you have to consider, that you have to know how to use these brushes properly. It's not enough to just buy them. You have to practice with them, you have to play with them, you have to understand them. Vaughan is one of the most surprising brush creator. I don't know if people have bought his big packs, but I find his watercolor brushes really excellent. He's got the texture, he's got the tone, he's got the shading, he's got the unpredictableness of real colors into his brushes. So not every stroke looks exactly the same, and I really like that about him. His watercolors are very buildable. So if you layer one layer and then you go over that, you can create a shadow, a very light, it's not harsh. What I find with Lisa's is that you have just one look. What I like about George's is that there are multiple looks that you can get as per your stroke, as per your size of your brush. Like the smaller you take your brush, the more you can do line work with the same brush. Whereas if you go big, then it becomes like liquid brush. I love the unpredictableness of this brush set. It's quite cool, and I love that you can shade, and it's very buildable. And what I find with his stuff is you don't actually need to work on line work again. It's extremely real when it comes to watercolors. Now I'll go to my favorite watercolor brush set in Procreate, that is Calvin's brush set. He has probably one of the finest and most realistic watercolor sets. When you use his watercolors, it's very fast. His abstract round brush is amazing. You actually don't need to do anything. You just need 3 of his brushes. That's the abstract round, the fine liner pen, and the blender brush. It's what I like about it is, unlike others, there's so many brushes, you get overwhelmed by that. But here it's very simple and the result is perfect. Like, it looks like a fantastic watercolor that you've done, and you seem like you're very talented when you use his brush sets constantly. And the best thing I like about his is that he has a lot of support. He posts videos regularly and he teaches you really cool tips and tricks on how to use his watercolors. that I feel is also one of the biggest reasons why I really like him, because I've had more time practicing with his brushes. But it isn't just that. The quality of his brushes are excellent. Only disadvantage with him is that you need to use like his brush sets are best with his papers. They're okay with, like, even now you see like a nice, this is my texture that I'm using his brushes, so they're nice, but his brush sets are best on his own paper. So if you're okay to invest in that, that's great. But personally, I have bought all his brush sets, I bought all his papers, because he's really worth it. I feel like investing in his paper and his brush sets are really good, because they give a very fantastic look on your final product. In the initial years when I started Procreate, I published my first illustrated book, Swamp Friends, and I used his paints and his paper primarily to paint my canvas. Because of him and because of his brushes, life became a lot more easier for me. I was actually able to complete a whole illustrated book in a month. So I would recommend these Procreate brushes, and I would really highly recommend looking at Calvin's brushes. So that was the top 5 Procreate watercolor brushes that I wanted to share with you. And I hope this will help you not feel so overwhelmed with the brushes and give you a good idea of how to use the watercolor brushes on Procreate. Thanks again for joining me. I will catch you in the next video.